Back to this leading story now. The close friend of the late Meyiwa Madlala is back on the stand today. Advocate Silindelo Masikane has been questioning the accuracy of Madlala's testimony as well as his role in the Netflix documentary in the murder of the football star. Now, the defense seems to want to paint Madlala as someone who sold out his friend for a paycheck and that he isn't a credible witness. Our reporter Silindelo Masikane on top of things as always with this trial, and she joins us from just at the court, which is on a break right now. Slee, thanks for giving us this update very quickly. Now, Tumelo's friendship with Senator Meyiwa very much front and center today, and he did admit that it was slightly strained over the last while. Tell us more.
Well, it seems as though his relationship with the Meyiwa family in particular has been strained after the shooting of Senator Meyiwa. And of course, we know that throughout cross-examination at this point, what we've seen from the defense in terms of Titi Tobana for accused 1 to 4 and now Advocate Silindelo Masikane for accused 5 is essentially a character assassination. But just before we get to the cross-examination, more details around that, Marcel, I do want to speak about a new development with regards to an attorney who has now presented themselves to the High Court. That's Mr. Wesley Rogers, who is here on a watch brief, sitting in the gallery on behalf of Mthokozisi Twala. This is also one of those who was in the house on the night Meyiwa was shot. It seems that a meeting took place in the judge's chambers where he announced his presence, and it seems as long as he's seated in the gallery, just like AfriForum is seated for the Meyiwa family, then there's absolutely no problem with him being here. But back to the cross-examination of Madlala, it does seem as though Mshololo is really trying to paint those who were in the house as being under the influence of alcohol, but not to the point where they actually cannot accurately recall or recount what took place that evening, the identities of the intruders, and on several occasions, we've heard Mshololo actually saying to Madlala that you were drunk. You and the rest of the guys inside the house could not hear the intruders coming in, and that is because you were under the influence of alcohol. But also that she's put it to Madlala that in fact there were no intruders at all, and Madlala pointedly saying that he denies this and that is a lie. But let's just take a listen to some of that cross-examination.
You ceased to be a friend to the deceased immediately after he was shot. You were a friend when he was still alive.
Ukuthi uyekile kuba umngane wakhe umufi ngesikhathi aqeda ukudutshulwa umngane wakhe othembekile ngesikhathi esaphila uPaula uthini ngalokho
lokho kwamanga lokho bengithi mhlambe njobe kachaza ekuqaleni ukuthi uyabuza ngiyaphendula if akusho indlela abona ngayo yini mina ngikhuluma ngakona lokho akushoyo.
That is a lie. Actually, the way you are putting it, I thought that it's a question, maybe I will answer it, but the way you are putting it, that's your own speculation.
Now, Slee, before we go on to the next question, just to follow up on that, there seemed to be quite an interaction in the court with regards to the definition of what inebriation is. Even the judge got involved.
Yeah, so that is why I'm saying that it does seem Mshololo is wanting to put into question or trying to show the courts that it cannot rely on Madlala's testimony, because much of what transpired when the incident took place happened when people had actually had alcohol, and now the issue is exactly how much alcohol was consumed. And already Mshololo has shown the court that evidence was removed from the crime scene. Cans of alcohol were removed because the police only found 2 cans of alcohol when the incident had transpired, and they had secured the crime scene. And already Madlala yesterday admitting that the reflection of 2 cans being found on the crime scene is not a true reflection of how much alcohol was consumed, because he himself says he couldn't have had more than 3 or 4 cans of alcohol. But that is something that's going to be left to argument in terms of just how intoxicated intoxicated were those who were in the house. But moving on to that issue around, the payment of Madlala once more in terms of the Netflix documentary, Marcel, it's coming up again where Mshololo is seemingly showing the courts that Madlala used his friend's death for a quick paycheck. He never at any point offered any money to Senzo's wife, his children. He kept all the money to himself, repeatedly saying that I did not share the money with anyone. The money was mine, the pictures were mine, so therefore I didn't see any need for me to share the money, because he believes the Meyiwa family as well had benefited from that Netflix documentary. But then an interesting question coming from Judge Maumela, who said, but if Senzo was your best friend and he had a child, does that child, in terms of Ubuntu, is that child then not your child? And as his best friend, would you not have then proceeded to at least give, Senzo's wife some money to be able to take care of that child? Let's take a listen.
But is Senzo's child not your child as an African?
Ingane kaSenzo akusingane yakho masibheka indlela yethu yesiAfrika.
Iyafana nayo nengane yami. Yes.
Yes, it's the same as my child.
Yes. And yesterday you told us that you have a number of children that you support. Would Senzo's child not fall among those for whom you are responsible?
Ngizolo utshele enkantolo ukuthi unezingane engezakho zondlako. Yena lo mntwana kaSenzo ke akaweli phakathi kwazo ezinye izingane zakho ukuthi unayo kanjalo umnakekela umondla.
Yebo kunjalo.
That's correct.
Well, that's where we're going to leave that for now with our reporter Silindelo Masikane covering the Senzo Meyiwa trial for us live there from the Pretoria High Court. We'll keep you abreast of the latest developments throughout the day.